Hey guys, it's Amy. I just wanted to come on here and show you how I made this Black Lives Matters mask. It was really easy. I posted a picture of it on Instagram and on Facebook, and a lot of you said that you wanted to learn how to do this. So there were a few cheats that I made. I'm not a professional embroiderer, that's my disclaimer. I did buy a few things to help get started, and I also watched some videos. I watched mainly videos by Jenny Lemons, and you can look her up. I'll put all the details below of the resources that I mentioned in my quick little video here. But where this all started was me wanting to learn mending. So I do have a desire to learn visible mending because I believe in quality clothes that last a long time, and I think it's important to learn how to fix things and how to find creative ways to wear your mended clothes. So I bought that book, I kind of browsed through it, and the book is by Katrina Rodabough. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I will also put a link to the book. So I started with that, and I went onto Jenny Lemon's website and I watched a tutorial on basic Sashiko embroidery techniques. And with that, then I set out and I ordered a few supplies off of her website. I got this Yokota thread. It's 100% cotton. It's out of Japan. It's really great quality, and it's nice and thick, which I like, and I got it in this natural color. I think it's color number 2. It's about like $2.50, and then I bought these Sashiko needles by Tulip. I ordered these online. I can't remember exactly where. Jenny Lemons was sold out, but she now has more different types of Sashiko needles. So Sashiko needles are a little bit longer because you're doing these really long stitches. It's not really necessary for this particular mask, but I used them anyway, and I found that it worked really well. They're beautiful needles, and I got a pack of 6. They come in this cute little tubes so that you can keep them keep the tips from getting dull and keep them all in one place. And 6 of them was like $10. Also made in Japan. So really great quality needles. They're called Hiroshima needles. And then you're gonna need a little scissor. I have this old scissor that we bought in Chinatown, which works great. I also have this nice little Ginger scissor. So something like this is great. Actually, the night that I did this, I did it at home after a protest, and the only scissor I had was like a big craft scissor, and that works fine too, so you don't have to buy a special scissor if you don't have one. But mainly you're gonna want a nice needle and some thick thread, and this was one of the best tips that Jenny Lemons gave me, was this, what is it called? A palm thimble. This one's by Clover, and you just put it on and it sits in your palm of your hands to help you push the needle through. When you've got a lot of thick layers, it's really helpful. And since I chose to embroider this on our 3-layered mask, it is a little thick, so having the thimble really helps. I also like this Clover thimble, which is leather with just a little coin, I guess, thimble inside of it. So that's really nice too. And I think Jenny Lemons has a few of these on her site as well. There are other art stores and whatnot where you can get these things too. And then last but not least, well, obviously you need a mask, but is a marker. So this is kind of the cheat, is that this whole thing is not embroidered. I basically wrote on my mask, Black Lives Matter, in black marker. And so super easy. I used Prismacolor. They work great on fabric. These are my favorite design markers for sketching fashion illustrations. And another brand I like is COPIC, also great on fabric, but use whatever marker. You might want to just check and see if it's good on fabrics, but the Prismacolor is really great. So one of the things when I started buying my embroidery supplies was a recommendation to get wax-free transfer paper. So you can buy this paper. There's a brand called Saral that has transfer paper. I used it on another mask that I kind of started with. started playing around with, but didn't get very far because I need to really think through the design. But I used it to write out the letters. And the problem I had with the transfer paper is that every letter, as I would write it all out and start to embroider, it came off so easily that I would actually rub it all off before I got to where I needed to get to. So that being said, with this mask, I decided to just go straight to pen. And I started with a sheet of paper, and I took my mask and I sort of laid it on the paper just to get a sense of spacing. And then I just, can you see? You can't really see what I'm doing, but I'll just show you. I just really took a really basic outline of the mask, like so, okay? Really basic, just a real generic outline. And then just to get a sense of things, I you know, so that you're not going too big or too small, I just would write what I want to say onto this paper, and then I laid it onto the mask to see, okay, so here I go. Pretty basic stuff. And then I held it up to my mask to kind of get a sense of where it would fall on the mask. I actually went into the mirror and just held it up and took a peek. You don't have to write Black Lives Matter. You can write BLM. You can make it a pride embroidery, or a, you know, vote for peace, or whatever you want to say on your mask. But I think this is a really great message right now, and I think a lot of us are looking for ways to show our solidarity, and also a way to channel all these intense emotions that we're feeling. So embroidery, I have found, is very calming and meditative, and just like the end result is so exciting to just have something to show for your efforts. So I should also say, so I first, after I penciled it or penned it all onto the mask, I started embroidering, and you are going to end up with a lot of knots on the inside of your mask. So I'm not sure if this works with every type of mask you're going to buy out there. The reason it works with our mask is because it's designed with enough room in there that the mask isn't really all on my face. So if I really work at it, I can feel that there's little knots in there, but it's not uncomfortable. There's enough room in there to have a few embroidery knots on the back of your mask. If you're making a new mask from scratch, a homemade mask, you're going to want to do your embroidery on that first layer before you put it all together, and then all your knots will be hidden inside. So here we go. I've got a fresh one here, and I am going to start drawing on it. The reason I started with gingham, another little cheat, is that it's like drawing or writing on a grid. You know, it's so much easier when you have lines to follow. So I'm gonna just take a look at the size of the letters that I wrote on my little template, and I am just going to grab my marker, and I'm just going for it. Just gonna put them in there. And I do think it's good to start as high as you can on your mask, because this lower portion sort of goes under your chin, so it gets lost. And also, the wider you go, the more the letters are sort of on the sides. So just keep that in mind. So maybe you want to write smaller than I did. That's an option too. So what I tend to do when I'm doing any lettering like this, like on a poster or on a mask, is I want to make sure it's centered. So I'm going to start with the middle letter. So even if I'm just looking at this as a reminder, the first letter I'm going to write on my mask is an A. I'm not going to write a B, because then I sometimes end up too far one way or the other. So I know if I start in the center, I'm good. So I'm going to put that A right at the bottom of the dart on my mask. And I've had to like flatten my mask out, you know, to write on it. I mean, I think that's kind of obvious. Okay, so I've got an A. It's kind of messy looking. But I found that even though all my letters weren't really perfect, it didn't really matter, because the embroidery, I was able to kind of like fix it with the embroidery. So there, I've got the A. So then I went and I finished the CK, and then I'm going and doing the BL. All right, and then I'm going over my letters one more time to make them nice and black. The hardest part is the very center where the mask is a little bit you know, there's shape to it there. So there you go. I wrote black on my mask. We're gonna start with that. And okay, I'm gonna close my marker, and then I'm gonna take that beautiful thread. Here it is, unrolled, the Sashiko embroidery thread. It's nice and thick, like I said. I have double layered it, so I've threaded my needle, and I actually make my thread super long, mainly because I'm a lazy artist. I like to do the least amount of threading the needle, and so I just tied a little knot at the end, and here we go. I'm going to start at the back of my mask. I'm going to start with the top of the B, and I'm just going to look here and poke around until I see that my needle is coming out where I want it to. Again though, make sure you've written black, or whatever word you're writing, you've gone over it once or twice so that your letters are nice and black, because you're not going to want to go back in and color them in again afterwards, or you'll risk writing on your thread. So I just am coming out in the corner of the B. I think one of the key things here, pull it all the way. So I've got my little knot on the back, and I've come out the top of the corner of the B. Sorry, I know this video is probably lame because I'm not a teacher and I am not a professional embroiderer, so it's a winning combo. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna decide how long my stitch lengths are. If you look at this, I tried to make the stitch lengths about the same width of the little checks on the gingham. So I'm going to do, it's like a shy of 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to pick up, take a little pick of the ground, and then I'm gonna go back in another 1/4 of an inch, pick a little bit. Oops, you know what? I need my cute little thimble. So I've got my palm thimble on, and I'm just going along, scrunching up the mask, tracing the outside of the B in and out, and then I'm going to use this palm thimble to push the needle through. And then I'm going to pull. It's really thick fabric and it's thick thread, so there is a little bit of a tug of war there. But so then I'm pulling my thread. When it gets a little glumpy there, I'm going to make sure it doesn't get knotted. Boop, like this, like so. And you can see I've got partway across my B. So then what I do is I kind of tug a little. I want to make sure that I've tugged the strings so they're not wrinkly there, and that I've also tugged the fabric so it's not puckering. So I just did like 3 stitches, and then I'm going to do 3 more. And the fun thing about this is you can do this while you're just hanging out listening to music. It's very therapeutic. It's very relaxing. And do a couple more stitches. All right, we're making progress here. I have to be honest, I was a little sloppy writing because I was a little nervous. I was just trying to show you how easy it was. Anyway, so I'm just going to keep going. So here I'm going along around the B. I'm doing all my work on the front because I need to see what I'm doing. So like barely 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm grabbing maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. You can just do 1 or 2 stitches at a time. Don't feel like you have to do 3. And you know, maybe you want to use a thinner needle and not this big Sashiko needle. Use what you have and just give it a try. It's really fun. But if you go too big on your stitches, you're not going to get a lot of credit for the outline unless you've done like a bigger, just one bigger word. Okay, back in. So I'm getting at the corner. I try to pace it and look at what I'm doing so that I have the right amount of stitches in each area. And again, I think it looks better if your stitches are even. So now I'm coming up the side of the bee. All right, cool. So I've gotten to the end of the bee, and I'm going to end with my needle going in so it goes to the back here. Come to the back. All right, you can see it's a little crinkled. Just gonna stretch it out a bit and make sure the fabric isn't too rumpled. And then I'm gonna look at my threads. How do they look? Well, not bad. Not bad. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the back. And this is really easy. I'm on the back of my mask. You can see my little stitches and my original knot. Now my end knot should be right next to my start knot in this case, because I'm kind of going around the letter. And so I'm going to, well, this is kind of hard to show you. So basically, I'm just gonna take my needle, go through and make, this is where the long thread comes back to bite you. It's easier to do it like in your lap, but I'm just gonna put my finger there. I'm gonna go around my thread in a little circle, lasso it, and then hold my finger there to force the knot to stay right next to the fabric. So there we go. We've got a knot right next to the cloth. Take my little scissors, cut the little edge off. And so I've done the bee. I haven't done the inside of the bee yet, but you can see there's my start. And once you do the inside, it really pops, like so. So that's really all you have to do. So now I will put another knot in the end of my thread, and then I'll do a few stitches on the inside of the bee, and then I will continue around until I've done all of it. And this is what it looks like when you're done. So I hope that's helpful, and I will put some of the resources for getting these items in the description below. And I hope you have a lot of fun and do something creative with all that energy. Thanks for watching. Bye.